You know, one time, somebody was asking me, nobody's yelled this out tonight yet, but if somebody was supposed to yell, like, I want to yell this out to myself, what do you do in your spare time? Thank you. Really, somebody asked me that because when you tour like this, if you're lucky, the local paper, and then there's usually a weekly scene, sometimes they'll do a story about you on tour, and that it really does help get people to come. And so it was one of those that asked me what I do when I'm, just jerking around. And it's changed a lot over the years, but in about the last decade, when being a folk singer, when I first got the job as a folk singer, that's been about 25 years ago, and I think, I don't know this, but I think a big part of getting the job as a folk singer, especially when they let you record your songs, is they seem to give a shit about the words to them. It's not necessarily so much the guitar playing or the singing, at least in my case, that's what I enjoy. But a lot of your favorite folk singers, you have to tell your friend they sing funny, But I don't know. So anyway, I eventually got to where, that's what I do all day. I still do that. I love to work on words and read words, listen to words. And the times if I have a break and I really want to get away from everything, I like to listen to music that doesn't have words. Sometimes like, say, Booker T or something like that. But what I really like to do is find bands that have words that I like, but they don't necessarily give a shit. And or say and that's not to say they don't like them, it's just that that's not the whole deal. It's not just somebody standing there almost talking with a point they're trying to make, or some bullshit story or something. It's just some guy yelling. It almost sounds like a horn solo if the sound man hasn't got him dialed in high enough. But if like my favorite band is Widespread Panic. You can go home and read the words. I love the words, but at the gig, he don't give a shit. He hardly enunciates at all. And then in the middle of the song, they just stop whatever was going on. Like if some guy was running from the cops in a car or whatever, they just stop and they jam down for like an hour and a half. And so if you're a folk fan, you're out there going, come on, what happened to that guy? But it's like when you go to that stuff, like the girls they have hairy armpits and their feet are filthy and they're hula hooping, and some of the guys have skirts and everybody's high as shit and they dance. It's not necessarily like they dance. Who's with you? Do you have friends over there with you?
My husband!
Could I address him? I can't see any of them. It just feels like I could kind of wink at him like, help brother out.
You got it, man.
Thank you. Y'all can do whatever the fuck you want in here, I'll tell you that. And I mean that. But anyway, I want to try to get back to what I was talking about. Which was, I guess it's not that big of a deal anyway, but I'm halfway. Well, actually, there was a point that I wanted to make. Okay, so I'm talking about that shit, where they jam, and I like to go to that, get right in the front row, and I dance till I'm sweating through my fucking clothes. And it's not like they don't talk, they don't jump around like Mick Jagger or nothing, they just jam. And the lights are cool, that's a show, but mostly the crowd is the show. And you feel it, you're in it, and you're moving, and it's almost like this religious thing, Now, I gotta say, it helps a whole lot if you take LSD before you do it. In fact, it's almost a must. It's almost a must. But I would recommend it. And I would say try it. Give it a try. And if it goes bad, sue me. You're looking at everything I got. Anyway, that's my shit, man. I like to go to that shit and just let myself go. And it reminded me of what my parents told me church was going to be, where they said it was going to be this big life celebration thing, and then as soon as we got there, I thought it was something had happened, or they got canceled, or something. There must have been something happened. But then when I went to one of those, I thought, well, this is what this feels like. And so on my off days, I tend to go to those things, and I get backstage if I can, because I made a beer run or whatever, you know. And I try to meet those cats, and I hang out with a bunch of them, you know. And one of them that I've become friends with is a guy named David Schools, who I think is one of the main dudes in the world. Plays bass guitar and widespread panic. And we were in California one time, just picking around at the hotel. We went down to the show. He didn't have a show, it was my show, and he just came out and played anyway. And then afterwards, we were like, that was fun. And I said, maybe we should record or something like that. He said, we should form a band. Holy shit, you know? So now, I'm in a fucking jam band. All I do is sing, if you can believe that. Talk about getting hired for your fucking enthusiasm. I'm really only about 15 feet from where I would have been before. It's like a better ticket for me, technically. I can still take acid at the shit, because all I have to remember is like 4 lines, and then I can just stand there and kind of bop for us. I don't even do that. But then I got about a 40-minute break, right? Every 4 minutes, I get like a 40-minute break. Oh, God, I love it. Oh. Nevertheless, obviously, as you can see by the way I'm going on tonight, I'm having a great time tonight. So the reason why I even wanted to say all this was because so everybody in the band has different people who come to support them. And when people who come see me do this comes to that to support this band that they heard I was in, sometimes they get it, but there's been a few times where there'll be a guy out by the bus going, what the fuck was that? What just happened to me, man? What the fuck? And so I explained to them, hey man, this is this other thing I'm doing, and the goal of this band really is to get your tits out and just to have a good time. But as you can see, hopefully, as long as people will sit around and listen to me do this, I will hopefully do this too, you know. So if you do see me doing that some night, that doesn't mean that's what I'm doing now. That just means that's what I'm doing that night. Conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American male. He bashing black fear and war fighting, tree killing regional leaders of sales. Shirt tucking fry owls and kick tapping, backslapping, hater of hippies like me. Tree hugging, peace loving, pot smoking, porn watching, lazy ass hippies like me. Tree hugging, peace loving, pro-choice and gay wedding, widespread panic digging hippies like me. Skin color blinded, conspiracy minded, protesters of corporate greed. We who have nothing and most likely will till we all end up locked up in jails by conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American men. Diamonds and dogs, black boys and girls, living together in 2 separate worlds, following leaders of mountain of shame, looking at each other, hoping for the flame. I know who I like to blame. Conservative Christian, right-wing Republican, straight white American male. Soul-saving, flag-waving, rush-loving, land-paving, personal friends to the quail. Quite diligently working so hard to keep the free reins of this democracy. From tree-hugging, peace-loving, pot-smoking, porn-watching, lazy-ass hippies like me. Tree-hugging, peace-loving, pot-smoking, porn-watching, lazy-ass hippies like me. Tree-hugging, peace-loving, barefoot-and folk singing, lazy-ass hippies like me. Oh.